It's my pleasure to wish you all a very happy World Tourism Day. I would like to welcome the panelists and the audience today for the webinar on the topic of tourism and rural development, hosted by Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, West Bengal, in association with IIHM. It's an absolute honor to host some very eminent personalities from the field of tourism industry and as well as from the academic sector. To take the proceedings further, it is my pleasure to invite Mr. J.P. Shaw, Head of Department of Travel and Tourism, MAKAUT, and former Regional Director, West Bengal Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Mr. Shaw, request you to kindly introduce our esteemed panelists and initiate the discussion. Over to you, Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Ms. Ganguly. It's a lovely day today, and it's very interesting and very a day which for all members from the travel trade industry, all stakeholders from the hospitality and travel trade. This day is a remarkable day, a red letter day for all of us. In fact, last year also, along with IIHM, MAKAUT, we had celebrated this World Tourism Day, but that was it was a seminar, and today it is a webinar where we are meeting virtually online. And very happy that we have the galaxy of panelists, both from the industry as well as from the academic. And I'm very happy that our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Professor Soikut Maitro, has just joined us. And in fact, he is having a meeting from 12 o'clock, I've come to know. So without waiting long, I would request the Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, his permission to start this webinar on World Tourism Day and a few words of his experience and his blessings and his guidance to all of us and to all the faculty and all the participants who are today at this webinar. Dr. Professor Soikut Maitra, please.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Shaw, and thank you, Dr. Suborno Bose, for this being a joint organizer for today's event. It's a great day indeed for the entire world in terms of travel and tourism. And now this observation of this day is very important in the sense that in the last few months, due to this outbreak of COVID pandemic scenario, travel and tourism has got restricted. But what we believe that probably it is a time where this future of travel and tourism will get a new shape or a new transformation. And in that context, many opportunities, new opportunities may arise, maybe existing sort the scope of works which was earlier that may not be relevant in present time or in future time. But what we believe that in near future, a set of new type of skills and new types of this knowledge and applications will be required for taking this travel and tourism in a different this track. And here there's lots of technology intervention will happen in near future. Particularly, what we believe that the future will be dominated by technology and artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and things like that. And that will be one of the predominating feature in almost each and every sector. And in travel and tourism, my observation is, or my opinion is that these will be also affected, impacted, and modified by this intervention of this coming edge technology or present day technology. Now, this use of this travel and tourism to promote the economy of a country like India and countries of these Africas and different parts of Asia is of paramount importance, particularly for India. We have enough resources, but so far from travel and tourism, this economy in that way, it was there, but the level of this expectation which was there in terms of outcome, that was not met because of this fact that we need a coherent and concerted and coordinated effort involving all the stakeholders to promote this travel and tourism, and this ecosystems or ecology development or was not that much this available in our existing scenario. Here we worked, but most of this work that was in isolation. And that's why, in spite of the fact that country is blessed with so many natural resources, so many the scenic beauties, places of this huge potential for attracting tourists, that benefit was not reaped to that extent. If we look at these beauties of Himalayas and all these things, there are many places. People are talking about the Switzerland and some places of this world, but so many unexplored areas still exist in Himalayan regions. People do not know, and we have not taken enough initiative in exploiting all these resources. Even in this, this our Gangetic Delta, Sundarban areas, and in areas like Rajasthan, like Madhya Pradesh, like Odisha, Kerala, you name any state, all states are unique in terms of offering, this different types of attraction for traveler and tourist. This is one thing. Second is, now what is happening, different types of, this tourism are coming in, this emerging in the world, probably like, this homestay, or maybe this, this temporary this arrangement, like this tent, this size of this, like of putting of tents at different places. As Mr. Shaw was discussing with me, that culture has started here, and this is very good, because in many places we cannot have this, this permission authority or constructions of huge building for the pressure from environmental groups and social groups, and that is the reality. We are observing that similar situation has happened at places like Puri and other places, this coastal areas, this mushroom growth of these hotels and all these things that affected this ecology and environmental aspects of that particular, and these are also under threat, potential threat also, because of this global warming and rising sea level. These will be under threat in near future, and that's why these types of unplanned activities we cannot afford right now. We have to be more agile, more flexible, and more alert. If this travel and tourism we need to promote, but not at the cost of environment, not at the cost of public, the safety and security, and not at the cost of exploiting the local resources. I was, this taking up certain programs, courses out of my own curiosity from online platforms and travel and tourism in India and African countries like that. Africa also places are like that. This unique natural beauty. But once a tourist visit that place, next time he or she never intends to go back there. Why the problem is there? Because there are certain water scarcity is a problem. Continuous this energy supply is a problem. Cleanliness is a problem. Then there are certain, these socio-politicals and all these things that restrict us to the safety, security, and all these things. Those are also problems. So all these that's why that I said in the very beginning, we need now a concerted, coherent, integrated, and coordinated effort from all the stakeholders to bring all these things. Water, this will be a biggest problems. And now people who are from Europe or America or US who are visiting countries like that, they are habituated in using a certain quantity of water, and that sort of how to provide that quantity of that quality of water. Number one, and how to, because this water is becoming scarce and scarce in many places in India and other parts. Number one. Number two, vector-borne disease like mosquito-related and all other things. How to take care of this? Because I know there are many tourists, they are afraid to visit, this India and other places because of vector-borne disease. Then contaminated foods which are not healthy, not hygienic. Food should be, this ethnic and all these ethnic cuisines and all this, that should be there. But at the same time, what the, these tourists want according to their needs and requirement. I have seen one, this is my personal experience. I was in Malaysia for some times. Here we observed that locals, they are habituated taking foods with, these very spicy and, these with lots of oils. But when foreigners came, they were always looking for will be their boiled vegetables or something like that, because they never, this compromised with their health. We many times we do not have that sort of culture. We take whatever we want to get. That is our culture. But these other parts of the world, particularly developed countries, they have certain, the socio-economic, these norms and backgrounds. So how to take care of all these things? Artificial intelligence is coming in a bigger way. So we can track this, this particular assignation, particular, this background, particular, these likings and dislikings of all the individual tourists. We can arrange the situation like that. Carnival is one of the biggest things of India. For example, Durga Puja. It is one of the biggest, one of the heritage carnivals of the entire this world. Now we are not taking benefit of all these things. How to take? There are lots of carnivals like this. Durga Puja is here. In other parts of India, carnivals are taking place in different forms. How to attract tourists in that carnivals? How to make proper publicity of it? How to go for digital brand marketing? There are lots of things are coming. So today I am of the opinion that travel and tourism is no longer existing as a isolated discipline. There are lots of travel and tourism, different formats: carnival tourism, heritage tourism, spiritual tourism, health tourism, adventurous tourism, sports tourism, in different formats coming. And technology is to be used there. Technology is to be used to track for customizations of all these things. Customization means each and every, this client or tourist, they are all the details that needs to be, this analyzed, and accordingly all these customized facility has to be created. And then working with, this our local community to take them into confidence, to get their support in promoting this travel and tourism, for ensuring safety security, for maintaining environmental norms, for making this place free of all this garbage, waste, then vector-borne diseases, all these things. These are going to the norms of the travel and tourism. And here, in that way, travel and tourism we introduced as an academic program from a university. Now we want to expand the horizon, and we want to integrate with different branches of subjects to give more, this effectiveness and efficacy in these areas. And because we believe that in near future, people are they like traveling. People are fond of, this roaming from one place. This is the culture of entire human being. Human being always wander from they migrate from they used to migrate from one place to another. They enjoy the beauty of places. So we have to capitalize all these things. And here, lots of issues are coming. How we are taking care of all these issues as a this coordinated team, network team, that there lies our challenge. And we believe that now that already we have taken many initiatives, and out of all these endeavors, within near shortest possible time in future, we will have a very bright future for this travel and tourism. So this is my opinion. Thank you all for giving me an opportunity to express my, these views or opinions in front of you. We are all experts in your field. Maybe whatever I have told, you can have your own observation on that. But still, as a layman of travel and tourism, this is my humble submission. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. It's not at all layman's person, but you are an expert in various subjects, and your in-depth knowledge and your experience that you said. In short, I think you have clearly spelled out what all is required in the travel and tourism sector. You are right, sir, that the potential that India has. India is a large country. It has huge array of tourism products. It's one nation with multiple destinations. But then the potential has yet to be realized. I really understood the crux of the point that you wanted to raise, that in spite of such variety of things to be offered in India, we have not been able to really capitalize on the potential that we have. And that branding and marketing needs to be looked into. As a matter of fact, things were going well in India, sir. This year started well, but with account of COVID-19 and this pandemic, things have come to a stall, but things have started opening out. As a matter of fact, I would say, sir, on account of any calamity, human beings are such that they are always having the caliber of coming out of the calamity or any trouble. They do find out some ways and means of coming out of the difficulties, and that is what the travel trade industry and the hospitality sector today in India, with all the associations, they are fighting it out, and they have started adopting all the normals and all the protocols that has been spelled out by the government of India and by the various state governments. slowly and steadily the destinations are opening out. The Sundarbans in West Bengal, the Digha, the beaches in West Bengal, they have started opening out. Goa is opening out. Kerala also is opening out. Sikkim has given out a notification that they are also opening out their state for the tourism. So slowly the staycations, the nearby destinations now, virtually that is what is opening out, and people have not in large numbers, but in small numbers they have started coming out. One more thing that you spelled out, sir, which you laid stress on, was the sustainable tourism, the responsible tourism. We understand that this sector is such that we have to be very, very careful. We have to be responsible. We have to see that the resources are not depleted. The tourism resources are kept intact for our future generations and the future tourists also, so that tourism can continue. If we deplete the resources of our tourism destinations, tourism will die. As a matter of fact, it is being said that by 2030, about 1.8 billion tourists are going to travel to different parts of the world. That is a type of a mass tourism, and mass tourism is going to affect our resources a great deal. So we have to be responsible. The travelers has to be responsible. They should feel that they should have a sense of we care. They should care for the resources of any country. This year's the theme of this year, sir, is the tourism and rural development that has been given by the UNWTO, the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Sir, they are the ones who are responsible for promoting the responsible, sustainable, and universally accessible tourism in the world. Now, I would request Mr. Nishit Srivastav, the principal of IHM Srivastav, IHM Kolkata, Taratala, to share his knowledge and his views and also his experience. Mr. Srivastav, in his no introduction, he is a very, very popular personality in the field of education, of hospitality education. Prior to the principal of IHM Kolkata, he was also holding the post of principal of IHM Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir, one of the best places of tourism in the country. Before the problem that we had in Kashmir, we knew that it was being treated as the Switzerland of India, and we had a lot of tourism in Kashmir. He started his journey with Hyatt Regency. In fact, he was also with the industry. He started with the Hyatt Regency as demi-chef de rang after completing his bachelor's of hotel management in 1986. He holds a degree of master in mass communications, MBA, and also LLB. Currently pursuing PhD in hospitality education from IGNOU. He joined Hotel Madhuban in Dehradun as management trainee in 1987 and promoted up to manager hotel operations in 1991. He headed country in by Group USA as general manager and contributed to the expansion of the company with establishing 3 hotels for the group in different cities in India from 1991 to 1995. He held the position of principal at JB Institute of Hotel Management at Hyderabad from 1995 to 1998, and also shouldered the responsibility of general manager at Bhaskara Palace, Hyderabad. During his career expansion, he also became the general manager consultancy for Triumph Hospitality at Delhi. He also has been the founder principal of Banarsi Das Chandiwala Institute of Hotel Management and remained there from 1998 to 2000. He was associated with FHRAI as Deputy Secretary General and Director FHRI IHM simultaneously from 2000 to 2007. In his career progression, he has also worked as principal in IHM Srinagar, which I mentioned, from 2008 to 2013. In the difficult times in Srinagar, he was there bearing the flag of Institute of Hotel Management and Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Before his current profile as principal IHM Kolkata, where he joined in 2017, he was the Director Studies and Control of Examination in the National Council of Hotel Management, Catering Technology from 2013 to 2014. So he has got a vast career and a vast experience in the field of hospitality, both in industry as well as in academics. I would now request Mr. Nishit Srivastav to share his thoughts, share his views, and also highlight and encourage the participants and the students who are in this period of pandemic are a bit doubtful as to in which direction they are moving. Mr. Nishit Srivastav, please.
Mr. Srivastava, I request you to unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Thanks a lot, Mr. Shaw, and for such a long introduction. And I'm really thankful for MAKAUT and IIHM for
Mr.
inviting me to
Srivastava.
speak. Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Okay. So MAKAUT and IIHM to invite me for the, and when we talk about rural tourism, everybody thinks about agriculture or agriculture product or the person going and visiting the village. But my experience in Kashmir and my experience in West Bengal tells me something different, because I feel rural tourism takes the economy at the doorstep of the really needy people or the artisans, those who are surviving in that area and creating so much products as a souvenirs are there. Like if I talk about many of the places, if I talk about here only West Bengal, if I go to in Vishnupur or then Terracotta, and lots of tourists are coming. But what I say, and tourists are coming to the places where the artisans are making the terracotta arts and all that. So it is not only the tourism, it affects the local economy, which is the part of the survival and sustainability of the tourism. And the person has got an opportunity to meet the consumer directly. But the major problem comes in here, the infrastructure. In rural tourism, if people are coming as a visitor, they visit and go. Whereas rural tourism, actually, you be in the village to feel the what village is all about, its culture, its cuisine, as the person is living. And if I remember, almost 20 years back, Chokhi Dani has started in Rajasthan. It was so much taken, malab, people have to wait to enter in the Chokhi Dhani. And on the same theme, Dholaka Maru, Apno village, so many rural tourism products started. But later on, they became one of the star hotels instead of just restraining themselves to the villages, the theme on which they started. So for rural tourism sustainability, the originality of the tourism is equally important. When we create something and then we shift tourism to population development for to attract the tourist, the its total theme becomes only a face of rural on the actual city tourism, and people start going there for the picnic instead of actually feeling what the rural tourism is all about. Rural tourism, I personally feel, if a person goes to a village, he should stay at least 3 4 days and feel the life of the village and life of the people staying there, because tourism caters to our basic need, and especially the hospitality, that is roti, kapda or makan. And either kapda, because it comes from the rural, it is the handlooms, they are working there, it is the hand woven. In Kashmir, I have seen the carpets, the shawl, all these handicrafts are happening in the village, and the middleman is bringing to the cities. But if I'm going to the village, I give an opportunity to the villagers to sell those products directly to me. Same which happens to Sonajari market when we go to Shanti Niketan, and it's a Saturday market where we go. So that way, I feel the rural tourism give an opportunity to the producers to sell their market. I said roti, kapda or makan. Then roti also, the what is our agriculture product. Each area has a distinct, different cooking style along with the product. What we make here in the hotel is entirely different. So person has to feel the negative part. What personally I feel, there these destinations are not developed in consultation with the local state authorities. Infrastructures are lacking, and there are some benefits are given by the governments, different governments, like in Kashmir, anybody wants to make rural tourism product, and he can add, he used to get 5 lakhs rupees to add a special bathrooms and room for the guest, to accommodate a guest in their room. But again, this was not much advertised, and many people are not aware of it. That the same way, the road leading to the village, after where the national highway goes off and the state highway starts, the problem starts in. Third is, so as I talk about sanitation and stay, the third is you're the water, drinking water, which is very, very, because the outsider people are very sensitive about whether from India. So personally, I feel the state government or the central government and the travel agency, travel fraternity should also make a coordinated effort to take people to the villages to make them what village is. It is not only the tourism, rural tourism. It is not only the agriculture product. It is not this, because I will just share an example. One of the in Kashmir, one of the friend I suggested, why don't you do a orchard wedding? Why have a wedding in the कहते हैं apple orchard? He took this project and he promoted to few people. You'll be surprised, in one wedding session, that is 2015, he got 36 weddings happen in his apple orchard, because it is apple orchard. It was during daytime, so the local dance performers like Bhant Pathir, then Rauf, so many artisans of that area of Kashmir got an opportunity to showcase, and that way the village people were also very happy that they are getting to sell there, because the wedding, if 70 people are coming, everybody is buying at least 2 3 shawls or one carpet or something. So it was sustainable and it became a regular feature. Another product what we did, with one, we developed a organic garden in one of the village, just, and it was a 3 hours tour for the village, where different food outlets were that food was being whatever is being produced there, it was being cooked in front of them there, and the people can enjoy. So this organic garden again invited all. It means 1 year the footfall was, initial 3 months only 500, and off season when we were saying no, this time nobody will come, people especially make to visit those organic gardens how in winters when temperature is -4 -5, these agriculture products are growing and being refrigerated or being produced. And more than 5,000 people came in off season just to visit those organic garden products. So what I say, but again, it is continuing, not promoted. The promotion has to be done by the tourist people. If somebody talks about Kashmir tourism, Sonmarg, Gulmarg, Pahalgam, and that's end of it. But it is hello. So, Kate, I just would like to end my by saying it is coordinated efforts from all of us required to promote the tourism, especially the rural tourism. It brings not only happiness, but it improves the economy, education level, as well as sustainability of the tourism in those areas. And I request all the schools, public schools, who take on the different package tour to Goa and Manali and abroad, these public schools should bring their students to stay in the village for some time, maybe for 4 days, 5 days, to make them understand what the real India is, what real country is, and what real products we are going to use. Thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity, and I hope the deliberation will be much interesting and we will take something else for to be implemented in our curriculum and to be implemented in our inculcate among our students. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nishi Srivastava, for your expert opinion. And also, I could realize that you are laying stress on rural tourism, rural development, which is the theme of this year's thing. We do understand that tourism, of course, although tourism is not the panacea for all rural problems, but it has number of positive attractions. I mean, it is one of the many opportunities that rural communities might consider to improve their productivity and also their income. As a matter of fact, tourism, as we all know, not only results in raising the employment opportunities, but also increasing income potential for local residents and diversifying the local economic base for rural areas, but can also increase community visibility and add cultural opportunities. It can and add, as you are also saying about, it can revitalize the local arts and crafts. People, whenever they are visiting some places, they do carry some souvenir with them, and that always promotes the local handicrafts, local artisana, whether it is a carpet or whether it is a handmade stuff. So the local the people who are producing whatever they are producing, they are getting some income out of it. So that helps in their economy, and that's a very good thing. In fact, there are many rural projects which Government of India had taken up, and for instance, Pachampulli in Andhra Pradesh, and then we have Pipli village in Odisha. Like this, there are a lot of villages where the village products and the rural products are showcased. You'll find whenever the tourists are moving towards Puri, they do hang around. They wait with their cars, with their vehicles at the Pipli area to purchase the local products. That helps in the economy of the local people. Thank you, Mr. Nishi Srivastava, so much for highlighting the rural tourism and rural development associated with it, and at the same time the sustainable part of it. And now, may I request Mr. Rajan Sehgal, one of the doyen of the Indian travel industry. We had, he's based in Delhi. He is the co-founder of Passionals, and he's associated with Travel Agents Association of India as chairman, skill and education, and he's also president of the Indian Golf Tourism Association. Golf, is one of the niche tourism product in India, which is being promoted by Ministry of Tourism and other departments. He's also the co-chairman and member tourism committee of PSG, CCI, CII, FICCI, Northern Region, and he's chairman Delhi chapter of PRCI, and he's committee member of Manas under the aegis of Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. So without saying more about his achievements and his profile, which is very long, may I request Mr. Rajan Sehgal to share his views regarding rural tourism in the northern region. I think Punjab and Haryana, they are doing very well as far as the farmhouse promotions are concerned. A lot of, as Mr. Srivastava was saying, the weddings in the orchard, etc., in northern region. These are new concepts, new concepts and new areas which needs to be promoted from the tourism angle, because tourism is such, as our Honorable Vice Chancellor also said, it is a symbiosis, it is a amalgamation of so many products, which are a final product to be offered to the traveler. So without saying more, may I request Mr. Rajan Sehgal to elaborate on the rural tourism aspects in the northern part of India, covering so many states, Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, then you have Rajasthan, and then the areas. As a matter of fact, everybody knows that the Golden Triangle is in the northern region, and the maximum number of travelers who comes to India are the ones who land at Delhi airport, and then they travel in that region more, followed by Western India and Southern India, and then finally Eastern India and Northeastern India. Mr. Rajan Sehgal, please, we are all eagerly waiting for your to share your experience and to get some leaf out of your in-depth knowledge in travel tourism sector. Please.
Good afternoon, and many thanks, Dr. Shah. I think it's a great honor on World Tourism Day to be on this platform with such learned and distinguished guests from our industry, whom I met and whom I am just meeting for the first time. And also the future of the travel industry, the students who are sitting here. So before coming to the rural tourism, I just want to give something motivation to the students, because everybody, even we at the travel tourism hospitality industry, are going through a bad phase, and especially the students who are the future of our industry, they are in a dilemma whether they have taken a right industry or not. So I just would like to inform you that some situations comes in our life as blessings, and some situations comes in our life as lesson. So the present situation is a big lesson for everybody and for the entire world. The nature was giving us so many messages from time to time, but we were busy in competing and becoming number one in most of the most unhealthy ways. So I think to all my colleagues who agree with me and the students, I want to tell you that it's a break which we got. It's a break to respect nature, to know that God is within us, safe and responsible living. Increase your knowledge and skill during this break, and you have to become not only like take a degree. You have to make yourself multi-skill, multitask expert, because this situation has given us lots of messages that whatever knowledge we have to gain more, and more we are multi-skill, we can do lots of things. So I think you don't have to quit. It's a break, and people are there is a fear that travel and tourism industry, hospitality will not revive. But I tell you, this industry will bounce back, because travel and tourism is related to each and everything. Each and everything. You know, when there is a recession, most of the Europeans and Asian people go in depression. But when there is a recession, Indians rush to the God, because we have so many gods in our country. We have so many pilgrimage places in our country. So why don't you become specialist in pilgrimage tourism and sell maximum pilgrimage tours to Indians who need these tours at this time most? And when Indians are going to meet the God, they don't care for money. They want to go in a most best way to meet the God, to take the blessing. So become a pilgrimage tourism specialist, and you can make good amount of money. I can tell you that I am in this industry from more than 40 years. I was like a student. I did my graduation, post graduation from Delhi University in tourism. And we have seen, Dr. Shah will also agree, so many stalwarts are sitting here. We have seen so many ups and downs in our career. The 9/11, the Iraq war, the 26/11, the swine flu, the terror attacks. But the travel and tourism industry have bounced back in a big way. So, there are so many ways. Earlier was the day when travel and tourism was only restricted to issuing of tickets, domestic, international, making hotel bookings, making car rental bookings. But now we have so much to sell. There are so many segments in travel and tourism industry that you can't imagine. And I think you are the most blessed people that you have joined this travel and tourism. But my only humble request to you, that if you have taken this as a career, अपने में एक जनून लेके आइए. You have to have a passion in you that we have to make this career. This industry, I can give you an example. If you are working in a hotel at a reception or wherever, you can meet at least 15 to 20 nationalities, different nationalities of the world in a single day. If you are working in a factory, in a bank, or in some other office, you will be meeting maybe the same people every day. But this industry interacts with you with so many different nationalities to increase your knowledge, to increase your geography. To when you travel, you see the culture, you see the cuisine, you see the festivals, you see the history of that country. So you can learn a lot from this industry. When I was working with ITC travel division as the head of the travel 30 years back, one day my boss called me that we have to meet on a particular Delhi Jaipur highway at 9 in the morning next day. And we were all shocked that what we will do. It's not exactly on the highway. There is a road, small road, which goes into small villages 8 kilometers inside. And so we all went there at 9 in the morning next day. And our boss, our managing director, said that, look, gentlemen, we are in travel business, but we are going to make a beautiful golf course in this place. So we were amazed that we were doing ticketing and we were issuing hotel bookings, car rentals. What will we do with the golf course in that small villages? So now that was the first international signature golf course of India, the ITC Classic. And can you imagine, at the very same place, the ITC Grand Bharat, one of the most luxurious property of the world, is now there, surrounded by beautiful villages. There are villages all over, and there are beautiful golf courses there. There are so many people are employed in that golf course. There are around 400 people working in the golf course. And in the ITC Grand Bharat, again, there is a big team of people who are working there. So on that particular road, which is all with beautiful fields, villages on both the sides. There are 4 or 5 big resorts have come up. The Karma Lakelands. If you visit that place, it gives you a feel of a modern village kind of a thing. Neat and clean village. Everything is grown up there. Even the masalas, the vegetables, the fruits. They have their own cows over there, and it's in 200 acres, so you can really enjoy. They have a beautiful 9-hole golf course also. There is a Tarundhan resort, again in the middle of the village, surrounded by fields. Beautiful, you can see the agriculture experience. The agri-tourism is very, very important. And as my friend Mr. Srivastava said, the weddings are happening. No, it's not the typical weddings in India. The wedding tourism is doing wonderful jobs. The Indian wedding is like a national festival. It takes 3 to 4 days for Indian weddings. The average number of people, not less than 400 to 600 or sometimes 700. So Indian wedding industry, the people want to do destination wedding. They don't want to do it open in the resorts which are outside the city. So where people can enjoy the fresh air, openness, close to the nature, and this is the need of the hour of this after this COVID crisis. People are looking for destinations which are more open, close to the nature, and these are the villages which we can promote. India is full of beautiful villages, like he said, Shoki Dhani, which was a great example in Jaipur. And there is a Surajkund Mela every year near Delhi, which gives the entire India village life comes there for 12 to 14 days. It's an annual event. Then there is a Bharat Parv at the lawns of India Gate. All the Indian states, the craftsmen comes there, and there is a huge audience over there. So this is the travel and tourism industry. You can do lots of things. And as Mr. Shaw said, especially in northern India, the Rajasthan, we have so many beautiful heritage properties in the small villages, which owns by the royal family. And now they have converted these havelis into hotels. And it's a great experience. I have some 12 British golfers before this COVID who visited India on a 12 days golfing tour. And when I took them to Samod Palace or to these havelis and for a dinner after a game of golf, can you imagine the royal families, ladies were serving them dinner. They showed them the Diwali festival, they showed them the Holi festival, and they were amazed. They said, we play golf all over the world, but this kind of hospitality and this kind of service they are not getting anywhere in the world. So they said, you not only have a golf tourism, but you have golf plus. They have seen our historical places. When you go to Madhya Pradesh, Gwalior, Mr. Shaw said there is a beautiful golden triangle, Delhi, Agra, Jaipur, Delhi. I was with the Secretary Tourism and Minister of Tourism, Madhya Pradesh. I said, it's not only the golden triangle, sir, you have diamond triangle in Madhya Pradesh, which is Agra, Gwalior, Orcha, and Khajuraho. Once you travel on this route, it gives you the feeling of old history, the villages, the nature. If you go to Khajuraho, the population is just 1 lakh. It's one of the beautiful small village. Their railway station is one of the neat and cleanest. And the temples of Khajuraho, the art, the craftsmen there are beautiful wildlife sanctuary. If you go drive down from Khajuraho to Panna, one of the best wildlife sanctuaries we have. So we have wonders, and this is the things which we can sell after this COVID, because people will not go to big cities now, and they will not stay in the big buildings. They want to go and settle down or stay in the places which are close to nature, for fresh air, connectivity wise very good, safety wise very good, safe and responsible hygiene. And earlier the countries were looking for number of travelers, but I can assure you, my friends, now the countries will only welcome safe and responsible travelers for the next 2 to 3 years. They are not bothered that whether we are number one in getting inbound tourism or domestic tourism. The states, the countries will only welcome if you are safe and responsible travel. So this, crisis has given us so many lessons to learn, that we have to have a simple living, simple life, but in a very, very responsible manner. So, there are so many fields in India which you can do, the Ayurveda, the yoga, the naturopathy, which is India, the Kerala. My friend is here from Kerala. He will tell. People are looking. The Kerala Ayurvedic resorts are full with people from Saudi Arabia, from Middle East. They know the potential of the power of this Ayurveda. And after again, I'm telling again, this COVID crisis, people have realized that India is the country which can give them, this natural things which nobody in the world can give you. I can give you the example of Switzerland. When Indian films, the Bollywood films were again shot in that area, so they realized that Zurich and Geneva is a very popular destination. So why don't we promote our small villages, places like Interlaken, Montreux, St. Moritz? These were the small villages. Nobody has heard about these places, and they are now the popular destinations in the world. 30 years back, or maybe almost 25 years back, I was on a golfing tour in Switzerland. And after a game of golf, I was moving around in that small village of Interlaken. And suddenly I saw two buses full loads of Indians. They just got down. And I was very amazed and happy to see lots of Indians 25 years back in that small village. And I just went to the tour leader. I said, how come these Indians are in this place? And where are they from India? Can you imagine? He said they are from a village called Sikar in Rajasthan. It's a small village, Sikar in Rajasthan. And I said, who told them there is no tourist office there? There is no Swiss tourism office there. How do they know about this place? They said, the children of the family, they were seeing some Govinda film, and they found out that where the shooting was happened, that the scenery was very good. And then we found that this is the place, and they decided to, the entire family, the clan decided to move around. So, the film tourism also is very, very important. Every year I do, from last 4 years, I shifted my travel focus because of the technology. The margins, the profits in the travel business have gone down. So 4 years back, I said, I will keep the travel business, but why don't I focus on golf tourism? When a golfer travels, he takes 3 to 4 golfing holidays in a year. And when he travels with his golf bag, he wants to play at least 4 to 5 different rounds of golf. It means he will spend 5 nights in a hotel. He will go to a spa, he will go for shopping. He will go to a restaurant to eat. So, this is again a big. Then every year I do a film tourism conclave in Mumbai, where I invite Bollywood production houses, I invite state tourism boards from India, I invite international tourism boards. So whole day they interact with the Bollywood houses, because they know if a film is shot in that particular city or a country, after the release of the film, the country or a state or a city doesn't need any promotion or a documentary. The film will do the publicity for that destination. Then I do a heritage tourism conclave with PhD Chairman of Commerce every year in a heritage city in India. So these are the things, which can get you more and more money also, and you have to become a specialist. Earlier, there was a general practitioner doctor where we go to him to show him every disease we have. But now you have seen in the last few years, the trend specialist comes into the field, So you also become a specialist either of wedding tourism or golf tourism or rural tourism. But rural tourism, India needs a lot of efforts, because our villages needs infrastructure, connectivity, safety, hygiene, cleanliness. That is very important. You can't take a foreign tourist or even an Indian to a village which is not connected good, not hygiene, not safety wise, no facilities are there, so it will give a bad impression. But we have set so many examples like in Rajasthan, Himachal, Srinagar, where royal families have converted their havelis in the small villages into hotels, and they are doing very well. I will not take more time because I can speak for a long, but I wish all of you a better future. And I'm going to hear the next specialist, because every day you will learn so many things, if you make your ears and mind open. And this is the right platform to learn more and more things which you can't learn in your class. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saigal. It was really very, very Very fantastic. Your experience that you shared with all the participants. You are right, absolutely. The tourism very often it gets affected by several types of calamities, both man-made and of course natural also. And it's actually a calamity, whether it's natural or man-made, that brings out the best from us in the human beings. To my mind, I think the greatest positive impact that the pandemic has had is a concern for the environment. You were rightly saying environment at all levels, and also a concern for hygiene, sanitation, pollution, energy, water conservation. These are very, in fact, the students and the young professionals, as you rightly said, in the travel and tourism sector and the hospitality sector, they need to now a time where they need to sensitize themselves and to deal with the new opportunities and also the challenges which have come up with the new normal. So they've got a they have to got a good way, a long way to go, and they have to be prepared to meet the challenges. Now we will request Dr. Subarno Bose, to share his views. Dr. Subarno Bose, is the founder of the IHM Institute of Advanced Management. Is the first generation entrepreneur and also hospitality icon. He is the person behind the Young Chef India schools, Young Chef India Junior, and the Young Chef Olympiad series that promote young culinary talent around the country and the world. He is also the CEO of the International Hospitality Council, and he initiated International Hospitality Day, celebrated every year on 24th of April. Dr. Bose he had conferred the Hall of Fame to Mr. Ratan Tata, chairman of Tata Group in 2017 on this occasion. And Dr. Bose also believes in striving hard to provide the best platform in education in every field. So he founded EduGuide, the online education and admission platform designed to meet the needs of present generation students. Dr. Bose has received many prestigious awards, including the Economic Times Most Promising Business Leaders of Asia Award in the presence of Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia, Times of India Most Prominent Business Leader Award in 2018, Roundtable India's Pride of Bengal Award, Jewels of Bengal Award 2018, and Food Festival Culinary Idol Award 2018. He has also received the ET Now Business Leader of the Year Education Award earlier this year. He is there in academics. Dr. Subarno Bose is very, very renowned faculty industry, very famous among the students, the young entrepreneurs, etc. Now, may I request Dr. Subarno Bose to share his views and also lay some emphasis on how he feels that tourism can help out the rural population of India, rural regions of India, and the in particular Eastern India, how tourism can give an impact on the development of the inhabitants of the rural India. India, as we all know, is mainly an agrarian nation. Most of the people live in the villages and the rural areas, so their upliftment, their way of lives can make a lot of can be changed. Their living can be better, and by the several things that they are doing. One of our panelists was also speaking about the homestays. I think homestays are also becoming very popular in the eastern region, in the North Bengal area, etc. So may I now request Dr. Subarno Bose to share his experience with all the participants and let us know more about what he feels, how he can take forward, and how the students should take up this new challenge in this pandemic period. Dr. Bose, please.
Mr. Shaw, good afternoon, everybody, all the panelists and all the people watching this. Wishing everybody a very happy World Tourism Day, first of all, to start with, and best wishes for all my colleagues in the tourism fraternity, in the not just in India, but in the world. As we start off this day with a very positive note that this World Tourism Day, I think, would possibly go down to history as a very important tourism day because of the situation that we are all in and the situation that we want to be in the next couple of years. So first of all, I'll like to say a couple of very basic stats. Tourism, 9% of India's GDP. 8.5% of India's total employment. So you can feel that how big the industry is. I mean, in 2 years back, if I'm not wrong, our Honorable Prime Minister in his Independence Day speech told that by next year, 2022, all Indian people should visit at least 15 of the Indian places, because instead of going abroad and in a foreign country, so that we can understand the actual Bharat and not just the urban India. And that's so important as we speak about a rural tourism today. We are talking about Bharat. We are not talking essentially about the urban cities and the already established tourist point. So coming to the rural development and rural tourism, I think what we need to discuss is that the government's policy. I mean, I've gone through the draft national tourism policy released by the ministry, I think about a couple of months back. And again, there has been quite emphasis on the rural development, on the sustainable development, taking the cue from the United Nations 16 Sustainable Development Goal, SDGs. And of course, there has been a lot of work done on the SDGs in India, and of course, the ecotourism. Now, when we talk about a rural development, rural tourism, I think we need to put India in the right perspective, because I know that we are talking about Switzerland, we are talking about other countries, but I think we need to take our Bharat into right perspective. I think it's important for us to understand that in spite of so much in the policy, do our government really want to support tourism? Do our government really want to put tourism in the top priority? The answer is no. The answer is no. And I think my friends from the entire tourism fraternity will agree with me that tourism possibly, for some reason, is not the top priority of the national policy. There are other priorities. Now, I think this is quite surprising, because when our country's 9% GDP contributor is from tourism, and tourism employs directly and unemployed indirectly almost 8.5% of the employment, is more now actually. I mean, why are we not really putting the emphasis on the development of the tourism per se and the rural? Now, first of all, the basic infrastructure. Now, it is very important for the government to provide the basic infrastructure, or it can be done under a PPP model, which is a public-private partnership model, where a particular tourist hub may be given to the private sector for them to develop with the government. That way the money will flow. That has been happened in the IT sector. We have seen that after the ACZs has been created, and after that IT park has been created, how Indian IT exports have really gone up and how really it has benefited. I think India needs to give the tourism a real boost. For the last 10 or 15 years, we have also seen that the tourism ministry has been given not the top priority. There were actually many years where we never had a tourism minister. We had a tourism minister for state only. We never had a cabinet minister for tourism. If you see the history for the last 10 years, the importance that the government has to put on tourism development is very, very unclear. I think it is a basic thing. Number two, coming to the rural tourism, I think that is the answer. Because now with the COVID, the business travel is going to take at least a couple of years to come back to any kind of normalcy if you compare with the pre-COVID numbers. Because I'm talking with as a part of FHRAI, as a part of other body. I'll talk with the CEOs, and they all feel that it will take about 18 months to 24 months for any kind of pre-COVID numbers to come back, which is that the domestic tourism have to really ramp up the numbers. We are talking about very interesting terms like revenge tourism, which I think is very much possible. I mean, so many months and weeks the people are inside the home, so they can just go out for a revenge tourism kind of thing. I think our Honorable Vice Chancellor spoke about sports tourism. One of my colleagues here spoke about golf. I think that's fantastic. I think we need to really put tourism in the right perspective. If you go to France, the huge number, a huge amount of dollars and euros the tourism in France earns by France is world's #1 tourism destination for many years is by wine tourism. So when we are talking about golf tourism, why don't we talk about the food tourism? Because India is very famous for food. I mean, obviously it is not so famous for wine as of now, but if you ask anybody coming from anywhere, in spite of our food being little spicy, etc., but the international traveler loves our food, and the Indians love the food. I mean, I have never seen a country which is so much gastronomically popular and famous like India. You ask somebody from the middle class, from the upper class, from the rich class, from the businessman, one thing I think is common is food and cricket. So I think food is one element which can be done on a rural perspective. Uh, Professor Shaw was talking about places like Bishnupur, places like Bolpur, where there is a fantastic food culture. So we need to promote this. People don't know about it. We need to make this also the food hubs, just like the tourist hub, where people go there for 3 days, 4 days, not just for the touristy thing, but also to experience the culture, experience the people's behavior and their entire environment, and also to experience the food of that particular place. Each state of India is a cuisine. And I'll go even farther. I think in each state, there may be 4 different cuisine. And each cuisine has got its own a huge kind of popularity. And it's it's a huge diversity. So food and culture goes very well. And you can put in art as well. Because even if you go to places like Bishnupur, Mr. Shaw was talking about Puri. Well, what excellent place like Puri, Cuttack, that entire beach. But if you see, I mean, there are not really emphasis on that local food. I have gone to Puri over 100 times, and I see people going there and they're still eating the chicken butter masala. Why? Because we have failed to promote the local Orissa food, which is fantastic. We have failed to promote the night life after 6:37. If you are Puri, you don't know what to do. There is no nightlife, unlike in Goa. So you need to promote tourism. You need to promote also a lot of ancillary things. For example, the children. I think we need to really see how we can do a lot of things for the uh, people who are not fully able. So there's a huge chunk of differently abled people in India, but I think we don't really take them into account when we build our hotels or our tourism sector. I think we need to be much more inclusive, and it's very important that the rural tourism also have to be very innovative. What we have done for the last few years, I think may not work for the next few years. So I feel that we need to really also think about innovation in a rural tourism. And one more thing is responsible tourism. I'm seeing that the people who are right now in the schools and colleges, that generation, they are actually quite responsible. They are much more responsible than people from our generation. I mean, they are not going to throw bottles here and there, the plastics abuses. If you see, they will actually not really put the plastics, use the plastics. The ecotourism are something that they respect. I think we need to, yesterday I was in a webinar day before, and one of my colleagues was giving a great example of Sundarban, where the guy on the boat, the boatman, The poor boatman is a tour operator, and if the capacity of that boat is 10, the boatman have to say, there we are, we have got 10 guys now. I don't want extra money. I will not take more than 10. So this responsible tourism comes from the boatman and also from the tourists who say, yeah, capacity is 10, so I will not jump on the boat just because I want to be there. I will wait for the next boat for next half an hour. So that responsibility has to come. We are all very responsible citizen culture in India, and we need to really find more and more innovation in the marketing. The Honorable Vice Chancellor Shoikat Moitro told about the marketing. I think the rural tourism lacks marketing in a very, very big way. They lacks the digital penetration because of the, not because they don't have the particular network, but because our tourist fraternity, possibly, I'm a part of it as well. We always try to promote and we push the already established tourist spot. We are somehow scared to establish a village because we feel that there would be not enough money out of that. Not enough of the rich people will go there. But actually, that's just the opposite of the fact that can happen if we start doing it. I know many rich international and Indian tourists who would rather like to go to a small village and stay there for a weekend and with possibly without air conditioner. That's not a problem. But they really want to eat the local food, talk with the local people, maybe go for an early morning walk for a trek, and they love it. They will love it. Just that the tourism fraternity is so obsessed of only promoting the places which has got some kind of a glam value or some establishment value. I think we all need to change the entire mindset. It's not about our World Tourism Day theme we are talking. Tomorrow the World Tourism Day will go and again we will be back and the rural development will take a back seat from the tourist operator, from the government, from all of us. And again, we are be more interested to promote our urban tourism. So I think that we need a total mindset shift. And unless that happens, I think it will take a lot of years for India to develop its rural tourism. So I believe that the new tourism policy, which actually is very, very good and which actually gives a lot of emphasis on the rural tourism. And you can see a very, very strong stamp of the Prime Minister Modi's Atmanirbhar Bharat there. I'm sure that it will create a lot of entrepreneurs if we do the rural tourism and we can have the entrepreneur creating small places, the homestays, maybe the food can be done in a hygienic way. Hundreds of things can be done. A small helipad can be done where a chopper can go and take the rich tourists there. And the entire economy of the entire place will get such a great boost. And if you think that tourism can become a most important part of the GDP of India, and just that we need a willpower. We need that willpower from all the stakeholders, especially from the government. And I'm sure that India can go to that place where rural tourism in 10 to 15 years will strive and thrive and survive. And it will bring a lot of economic development to the rural hubs. So that's all from me. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Bose, for your very insight experience that you shared with all the participants. It's indeed you had laid emphasis on the rural tourism and also the destinations of the eastern region which are doing well, but then, well, as you rightly said, that things has to be made a little bit more. For instance, the nightlife and the local food, the cuisine. Of course, you are an expert in the cuisine field. You're right, absolutely. When in Rome, one should be like a Roman. So when one is going to Orissa, any state of India, as a matter of fact, and if we, I wouldn't say I've been to South India also, and find people write in Bengali also there that Bengali food is available here. In fact, the Bengalis are one of the one particular group of people who travel, who like to travel the most among the Indian communities, and along with the people from Gujarat. But then they too, there are some small travel tour operators, if I am not mistaken, Kundu Travels, etc., who take the budget tourists in a bus, and they also carry their cook with them along with the ingredients, so that our Bengali tourists are comfortable with their rice and fish and whatever the local dish. But then all said and done, it's true that we need to look into that aspect of promoting the cuisine of the region, because each and every part of India has their own traditional food, like dal bati churma in that choki dhani, as Mr. Nishi Srivastava was saying. The choki dhani had done marvelous. It did a lot of promotion of Rajasthan and the traditional food. The way you sit down, the sitting arrangement also is different, and the sweet dish, they give you jalebis rather than giving that rasgulla or gulab jamun, etc. They have jalebis, hot jalebis. So that's why why not promote the dishes of the local dishes needs to be promoted. But then they're keeping that health and hygiene aspects, and as our Honorable Vice Chancellor was saying, there are a lot of areas of concern, and why we are not getting return tourists for nations like us or some African countries where there is a dearth of there are some security issues, there are some some diseases you need to have yellow fever vaccination and this and that. So people do not like to travel very often to some destinations where you have these type of concerns. Of course, India does not fall in that. We are having a lot of repeat visitors. Mr. Rajan Saigal has already elaborated on that, we have such an array of products and golf tourism and other tourism. So we do keep on having the tourists coming to India around the year. As a matter of fact, Ministry of Tourism, for under various schemes now, recently there's I was seeing that sizable amount of money has been given as a assistance to government of Sri Lanka for promoting Buddhist sector, and with the opening of the new airport, new airport in I think where we have opened an airport, Mr. Saigal. It has already started, I think, the airport in Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, it has already started.
It is already
Direct
started. The
flights
flights and all have started, I think.
Yeah.
This Kushinagar Airport, I think.
Yeah, it's
Kushinagar Airport. So Kushinagar Airport is one of the latest addition among the airports in the country that will cater to the requirement of the Buddhist sector. This is one sector which is also very, very popular, and we have a lot of friends from the travel trade who are associated with promotion of Buddhist tourism. Pilgrimage tourism has been very, very important. It has been one of the mainstay for among the Indian people and other people of the world also. In fact, they used to travel initially for pilgrimage purpose only, which has been diversified. The dharamsalas have been converted into the hotels and the tourist lodges, etc. now. And of course, you have as Mr. Rajan Saigal was saying, that in Rajasthan or even in other parts of India, for the matter of fact, even in Bengal, we have the Rajbaris and the Havelis, etc., which have been converted into hotels now, and as palatial properties and heritage properties, and that staying in those hotels. But then here, this time, the World Tourism Day, our theme is on rural tourism. So we would like to put emphasis on that. But this is true that tourism will help the rural communities on the whole, and we need to look into it and to see that the benefits of the tourism, the economy can percolate up to the right to the bottom, from top to the bottom, and that is way. This is how we are going to help out the rural population of the country. Now we would request our next speaker, Dr. Dilip Kumar Das, who is from the University of Vardhaman, to share his thoughts. And he is associated with in the academics. He has authored a number of books. He is associate professor and also head of the Department of Travel and Tourism in the University of Vardhaman from 2005 onwards. So he has been awarded PhD in the year 2008 in tourism from Utkal University, Bhubaneswar, and on the topic economic, socio-cultural and environmental impact of tourism, a case study on Puri, Konarak and Bhubaneswar. So you have the right person here to elaborate on this particular. In fact, Puri, Konarak and Bhubaneswar is called as the Golden Triangle of Eastern India, Mr. Sehgal, if I am not mistaken. He has completed his Masters of Tourism Management from IGNOU and also 2 times qualified UGC NET National Eligibility Test for lectureship in December 2003 and 2004. He has completed his master's degree in economics from Ravenshaw University, Cuttack, Odisha, and also completed diploma in tourism management from IITTM Bhubaneswar, Odisha. He has attended and presented papers in more than 40 national and international conferences and have written 5 books. He's got 5 books to his credit, and his area of research interests are ecotourism, tourism impact studies, and travel agency management. So ecotourism is the theme also this time, rural tourism. So now may I request Dr. Das, the head of the Department of Bardhaman University Travel Tourism Department, to take up the floor and share his thoughts and let these participants and all the faculty and the panelists know more about ecotourism and your area of studies in particular reference to Bengal and Eastern region, Puri, Bhubaneswar, Konarak, and also the areas of Bengal. I think Bengal and Orissa and Bihar and Jharkhand, these couple of states of the Eastern region, really need a boost in tourism, because they, in comparison to other states of India, they are still lagging behind in both in the not only in the foreign tourist arrivals but also in the domestic tourist arrivals. And you know the reasons behind it. Maybe it is lack of infrastructure or poor amenities at these sites, and also maybe a bit of a marketing or branding by the concerned state governments. They need to, a little bit more vital and more mobile on this, and that they need to take it up a little bit more aggressively. Of course, not in this time of pandemic, but once now that things have started easing out, I'm sure the state governments of Eastern region would start to, attract and start to, receive the travelers to these states, and thereby helping in the economy of the state. Dr. Das, please.
Thank you, sir. First of all, a very good afternoon and happy World Tourism Day to all my esteemed panel members, participants, other research scholars, and other members from different academia as well as industry. On this very auspicious day, since the aim of the World Tourism Day is tourism and rural development. So the basic aim is to provide job opportunity for women, particularly for youths in rural areas. So I would like to thank Professor J.P. Shaw for providing me an opportunity to speak on this topic. In this regard, I want to have a small screen sharing, so that I can yes. So my topic will be like, I will be a bit what you can say, it will be a micro study, since most of the speakers, they have spoken about different aspects of tourism, and with special emphasis on rural tourism, no doubt. But my special emphasis will be on Bengal, promotion of rural tourism in Bengal. So these are the small things that I want, because since most of the students are there, so I'll be giving some theoretical background. Then I'll be discussing some of the practical aspects of rural tourism in detail. So when we're talking about tourism in India, it is the largest foreign exchange earner, third biggest industry. It occupies 34th position in terms of world tourist arrival, attracts more than 10.6 million foreign tourists, and no doubt it's create more opportunities, employment opportunities in comparison to other industries. Now the question is, what exactly rural tourism is? No doubt, so far as rural tourism is concerned, rural tourism means many things to many people. The connotation is changing from country to country. Normally, it's any form of tourism that showcase the rural art, architecture, heritage, and rural locations, which benefits the local community economically and socially, and as well as enabling the interaction between the tourist as well as locals. However, if you go to some foreign countries, the connotation is changing. Like in Finland, rural tourism means renting out of cottage in countrysides. In Hungary, it is known as your village tourism with some sort of activities as well as services provided by the village only. And countries like in Slovenia, it's a form of accommodation with host family. In countries like Netherlands, we are having activities on the farm, camping, horse riding, etc. And in Greece, it is traditionally furnished accommodation with food. So in almost all the aspects has already been covered by our eminent panelists. So I'm not going in detail. So if we're talking about the concept of rural tourism in Bengal is concerned, these are the rural tourism boundaries. When we're talking about rural tourism, these are the rural tourism boundaries where you are having rural and agrarian lifestyle as discussed by Dr. Saw. Then it is related with natural tourism or nature tourism. That obviously it is having some cultural values as discussed by Nitish Srivastav. It is having some religious value where we're talking about pilgrim tourism as Chairman Skill Development of Thai, Mr. Saigal has currently pointed out. Then we are having some heritage value. Then again, it is having involvement of adventure, sports-based activities as mentioned by Dr. Bose. So it includes almost every aspects of tourism. So when we're talking about Bengal as a rural tourism markets, we will go for it's almost 68% of the Bengal is in we're talking about villages. Like it is more than the average of Indian population. Like in India, we're talking about Indian context, 60% of the people are living in Bengal, whereas in rural areas, whereas in Bengal it is more than 68%. So definitely the discussion about this topic is very proper that it can be promoted as a rural tourism destinations. And we are talking about in Bengal, there is a concept called Baro Mas Tero Por. That means we are having 13 fairs and festivals with all these 12 months. So it is very much in terms of rich and colorful. We are having Holi, we are having Durga Puja, we are having Navavarsa. Every time, every month you take, we are having celebration for all occasions. And people in Bengal are simple, friendly, and rural communities are very much friendly in comparison to other states. When I take out what are the benefits of rural tourism, no doubt, like as Mr. Saigal has rightly pointed out, if you are in hospitality industry, you are meeting almost every day in a hotel if you are staying, in a hotel if you are doing your job, you are meeting 20 people of different countries. So it includes your increase your educational level, growing interest in heritage and culture, because people when you are coming to see the rural areas, sometimes they are coming to see the culture, heritage, tradition of these rural people. Then income level of the people will be rise both for the local people as well as the other stakeholders, those who are involved in that rural areas. Then alleviation of poverty, if people in the rural areas, they will increase their income, so that will lead to poverty alleviation will be there. Then provide higher standard of living to the rural people. Then exchange cultural benefit for both. Sometimes you'll find that people in rural areas, they were wearing the clothes as well as all these things in the taste of the urban people, like the tourists, those who will be coming. So this exchange of cultural benefits will be there. Then demand for education will be increased. You go to Bodh Gaya, you go to Nalanda, you go to other places where you go to Puri, the people, they can speak in very different language, that is to international language. They can speak Thai, they can speak Japanese, they can speak like you go to Puri, you won't find most of the as Dr. Bose has rightly mentioned, people in Bengal, they used to love travel and they have traveled 100 times to Puri. And why? Because if you go to Puri, you won't find that it is it's not in Odisha. You'll find that it as if you are staying in Bengal. So demand for education will increase, and obviously once the tourism development will start, that will lead to infrastructure development will improve, which is the need of the hour. Now, what are the significance of rural tourism? Definitely, the significance is very high. It's a rich tradition and culture we are promoting, which is unique, and it is very important for a country like India. I will go for the history, because the theme of these rural tourism days, rural world tourism days, your rural tourism and rural development. So Ministry of Tourism has already identified 31 villages in 2001. That means we are in right track, but we have to promote something more. It should be like you should be more focused. So in 2006, 2007, already 50 villages has been identified. Now the number of villages has improved to a manifold, but still we have to need a lot of things to promote rural tourism. Then indigenous tourism projects has already been launched by UNDP in collaboration with Minister of Tourism. I think Mr. Saw will definitely be a part of that. Even when we're talking about Odisha, the small places like Sarah has rightly mentioned about Pipli, nearby places is called Raghurajpur, Padmanabhpur. These people have been undertaken, or they have been like financed by, or they have been taken to develop by different organizations like INTAC, Indian National Trust for Cultural Heritage, INTAC and UNDP. They have identified this village and they are funding it to the promotion of rural tourism in this area. So when you're talking about the rural tourism projects in West Bengal is concerned, there are mainly 5 identified villages are there. Sir, since the number of places are many, but these places has been identified by Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. One is Ballabpur Danga, which is near Santiniketan, Sonada village in Darjeeling district, rural tourism in Mukut Manipur in Bankura, then Antpur village in Hugli, Kamarpukur in Hugli. Telling you frankly, sir, out of these 5 places, 30%, if you go for the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India statistics, 30% of these places have not been developed. It is a failure because of several reasons, and 40% have like they have reached the stage of average level to provide a suitable rural tourism destination, and 30% are moderately successful in providing this rural tourism experience. Because of different regions, one is known as your approach to the roads to reach the destination, because all these are situated in rural areas. It needs a lot of time to reach there. So immediate approach is not there. Second, if you go for the real condition, some of the places are Naxalite area where law and order is a major problem, where Mukut Manipur is one of them. So when we talk about Sonada in Darjeeling, these places mostly it is like not highlighted properly. And when we are talking about Kamarpukur, it is morely a religious place, because if you go for the study, Kamarpukur, one of my students, he has made his research paper on Kamarpukur. I'll be discussing in brief 2-3 lines on Kamarpukur. So it is considered to be only as a religious places, for which it is not been marketed properly in other forms. So these are the reasons why like rural tourism has not been promoted in an effective way in Bengal. If you go for the benefit of stakeholders, there are many like travel agency, tour operators, local food and accommodations, then villagers, farmers, all these like all NGOs, training agencies, all these like others like travel agency and tour operators. No doubt the benefiters or the stakeholders are many, but point it has not been developed right into focus. Like the West Bengal tourism, if you go for the tourism policy of West Bengal, it has not been properly spelled that yes, we have to promote rural tourism in Bengal. That point should be highlighted in the coming years so that these places can be effectively promoted. Next, you will think of the training aspect. See, it's when we're talking about marketing this rural tourism, it's a very delicate issue. So you have to provide proper training facilities to different stakeholders. Like different professional agencies should be there. They should provide local youths to serve as tourist guides. They should provide local shopkeepers as well as other stakeholders how they should behave properly with the tourists, and they should, in this regard, they should tie up with different international agency in the field of tourism to promote rural tourism in this particular state. When you take about advantage Bengal as a leading tourist destination, no doubt Bengal it has showing a consistent economic growth. Then connectivity is good, as rightly pointed out. If you go for Bengal, it is Nearby places are Odisha, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand. All these places, if we're talking about tourism point of view, they are developed in comparison to Bengal. So one excellent connectivity is there by road as well as air. So connectivity is not an issue. It is strategically located. Influx of the tourist is high. People talking about the statistical point of view. In terms of domestic tourist, it's ranked 8th, and in terms of international tourist, attracting international tourist, it's ranked 5th. But still, there is a lot of scope is there to improve the number of tourist flow, both in terms of domestic as well as international. When we are talking about Bengal has a diverse tourism products. We are having 3D Digha, Darjeeling, Doers. We are having tea tourism we can promote. We are having religious tourism, as rightly pointed out. We are having Durga Puja, which can very easily promoted as a tourist product. More than 50,000 crore business Durga Puja festival can provide. So we can promote Durga Puja, we can promote Holi, which is very what you can say, we can organize it in Bolpur, which is very famous. People mostly from outside different countries, they used to experience Holi in Santiniketan, Vishwabharati. Then easy doing business, we are having advantage of easy doing business also. Why I am saying so? Because last 15 to 20 years I am working in Bengal in Bardhaman University. For last year, 40 students of Bardhaman University and from other university, they have been appointed as tourist development officer and as well as tourist supervisor in different districts of West Bengal. From that, I can smell that yes, we are in a right track. We have to promote tourism. This is the first time the West Bengal Tourism Development Corporation, they have taken a very good step to they recruit tourism development officer and tourist officer in different districts of leading tourist districts of West Bengal. These are the different destinations. So far as the suggestions are concerned, no doubt it has been rightly spelled by Mr. Sayagal, Mr. Srivastav, Mr. Subarna Bose, like proper sanitation and sewage facility, because we are talking about promoting rural tourism. These things, sanitations and sewage disposal systems should be proper. Then approach roads should be it should be proper. Like I'm telling you, Mr. Srivastav, Principal IHM Taratala, he has rightly pointed about the place called Sunajudi. It's very near to Vishwabharati Santiniketan. Every Saturday and Sunday, there is a small market which is taken place every Saturday and Sunday. You won't imagine people in hundreds. They're having their own cars. They travel from Calcutta to move to go to that particular place for shopping. For Kantha and Batik, Sari, handicrafts, they can visit near about Bolpur, Santiniketan area. But if you go for the disadvantage, you have to travel 150 kilometers near about, more than 150, 160 kilometers. You will find hardly any good restaurants are there. Only 1 or 2 restaurants you will find. So it sometimes looks very odd for the families to travel such a huge distance where you are having 1 or 2 good restaurants you will find on the road. So highway restaurant, we are talking about Chokhi Dani, like talking about Puri, Delhi, Agra and Jaipur. When you're talking about Puri, Konark and Bhubaneswar, you will find some good restaurants are there. So definitely cuisine is one of the most important aspects which attracts large number of tourists, and Bengals in this regard has an advantage of promoting Bengali cuisine. So these things has never been taken care of. So this cuisine should be promoted, and more number of restaurants should be developed with maintaining all these hygienic conditions and in terms of service, in terms of food preparation, because gastrotourism, as Dr. Subarna Bose has rightly mentioned, like gastronomy is considered to be, gastrotourism is considered to be one of the most important aspects why people are coming to India. Like I remember in 2003, 2004, when Bodh Gaya has been declared as World Heritage Site, I was there on behalf of IHM Patna. I was there to for the preparation food for more than 10,000 guests. The foreigner, when they are moving to the local restaurant, they are asking for, please make some spicy Indian food. We want to have a taste. So you have to make importance on this. Then adequate publicity efforts should be there. Like as all of you are saying that Pipli, Raghurazpur, then some of the like Chokhi Dani, they have been published in proper way. But when we are talking about rural tourism destinations in West Bengal, it has not been published in a proper way. So publicity and marketing should be there. Then elementary tourist requirements like restaurants, then general stores in the vicinity should be there, so that people can what you can say enjoy that particular place. I'm skipping this part. Like, yes, I was discussing about some of the funding agency which they are coming forward to adopt different tourist villages to develop rural tourism. In this regard, like I have already mentioned about Archaeological Survey of India, Intact, UNDP, they are coming up with some good idea of adopting some rural tourism village. So you have to approach the state government by taking this initiative. They should approach all these international as well as national organizations to request them to adopt this particular village to promote, because I should agree with Dr. Bose as well as Mr. Saigal that after this post COVID-19 era, lot of investment which were supposed to be there on tourism projects, it will not be going to happen further, because the priority is not for tourism development in India. That is the reason we are lagging behind. Otherwise, the place France we are talking about, the area is near about Madhya Pradesh. If it can attract 80 million tourists, then why not India? Because tourism is not our main priority. So since Chairman Skill Development TAI, Mr. Saigal is there, then the other two people from industry, Mr. Manjali is also there. So I'd request them to write it to tell it in the right forum, that whatever investment is there previously, the investment which was priorly made, it should not be hampered. Because I was very much connected with IITTM, Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management. They were having a lot of projects were there to promote for training and skill development. I was full-time, I was a guide training program, a regional level guide trainer for IITTM Bhubaneswar. And what I had is that lot of training program, other all skill development program, they have been wiped out, because the priority of the government is not to invest more on tourism sector, to invest on other sector. So if these things should be taken care of, then rural tourism development in India in general and West Bengal in particular can be promoted as in a big way. So these are the some I was talking about Ramkrishna, Kamarpukur as a rural tourism destination. I'm showing some photographs in 2-3 seconds. See, these are some unique structured village. If you 30 rooms, you will find it in Kamarpukur. This is the Ramkrishna Mission temple, for which a lot of tourists are visiting. This is when we're talking about rural employment, see, jute industry is there, and the Ramkrishna Mission, they are having one unit that is called Palli Mangal, where they used to employ a lot of ladies, particularly rural youth, particularly young women, to involve in this. But they are preparing these sarees, they are preparing this soup made up of jute. They are also preparing this. They are preparing incense stick in Palli Mangal, which is very famous in Ramkrishna Mission. See how they can promote the Ramkrishna Mission. They are providing training facilities for Palli Mangal facilities, particularly ladies as well as rural youth. So if these things can be taken care of, I'm sure that rural tourism will prosper not only in Bengal but also in India. So with this, I want to thank MAKAUT for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Das. That was a lovely presentation, and I'm sure the students, I'm sorry, the students must have got a real feel of what it's all about, rural tourism, through your presentation. It was a very, very thorough presentation, highlighting all the aspects of rural area. May I now request our speaker, Mr. Manjali Prasad, who is from Trivandrum, to share his thoughts and his ideas mainly about, the Kerala, since he's from Kerala, it is one of the state in India which is doing very well in tourism. There are a lot of feel-good factor, a lot of initiatives taken by the government of Kerala in promoting tourism. They have established their brand, probably known as God's own country, throughout the world. And whenever you say Kerala, people are knowing internationally where it is, and where, even if they don't write within bracket India, people in the world they know where Kerala is. So that is how the branding of Kerala was done. And even in the rural sector and the domestic sector, the community areas, a lot of initiatives have been taken both by the public and private sector in Kerala. So I would now request Mr. Prasad Manjari, who is the Managing Director and CEO at Ventures Private Limited. Citrin is one of the India's premier hotel management companies, and Mr. Prasad is having more than 26 years of hospitality experience. He has worked with major brands like Taj Group and Thistle Hotels UK, Muthoot Hotels, and UDS Group of Hotels Kerala, Contour Group of Hotels and Resorts. Now, without his profile is also a very big one. So, without taking more time, I think we are all eagerly waiting for his deliberations and his talks on Kerala. And after his talks, then we'll have the question answer session. And there have been 5 questions set for the participants which they have to answer. And also they will be given the link for giving their comments, based on which the certificates of participation will be issued to all the participants. So and may I now request Mr. Prasad Manjari to share his views and share his thoughts and all his experience in travel trade industry. Mr. Prasad, please.
Namaskaram from God's own country, and thank you very much to all the dignitaries on the stage here. Special thanks to Mr. J.P. Shaw and our Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University for giving me this opportunity. I was actually listening to all my co-panelists who were speaking in the last 1.5 hours. Very insightful, quite a lot of knowledge that I've gathered. As like one of my co-panelists was mentioning, every day is a learning. So today I've learned a lot of new things. First of all, I'm not going to do a presentation. I'm not going to bore you with a speech here. I'm going to share experiences as far as what rural tourism, as far as Kerala or rather South India has done in the last so many years. I'd like to take an example, a story of a very interesting group of hotel company. It's called the CGH Earth Hotels. It was previously known as the Casino Hotels in Kerala. It originated from Cochin. Co-founder is Mr. Jose Dominic. We all respect him primarily because even before Kerala tourism was popular, CGH hotels, the casino hotels were very popular. The reason why they imprinted a stamp of one of the best hoteliers or resort destination management resorts in Kerala is because of their thought right from the beginning. They started thinking about it about 35 years ago, where they were very clear on rural tourism. They were the ones who started off the term backwater tourism. Now, what is backwater tourism? It's nothing but rural tourism. Backwaters of Kerala are all in the rural parts of Kerala. If you look at Kerala as a whole, urban parts of Kerala is very limited. Most of it is rural. If you go to the villages of Kerala, when you're driving from one end of another to the other end of Kerala, you will experience such a lot of rural factors, which is very, very evident. Now, why do a traveler come all the way from, say, another state or from within a state to visit a destination, or from another country to India to experience? What do they come to experience? If they want to go and experience plush and luxury, they can travel to any international destinations across the Europe or in the West. But they come to India to experience our culture, our tradition, and that is through which that they earn. I mean, they really take a lot of things when they go back from India. When they finish a holiday in India, not only they go back with a lot of peace of mind, but they also carry a lot of wonderful memories. Like, for example, Kerala is also one of the most popular destinations which is initiated responsible tourism and sustainable tourism in a big way. We had a mission as far as responsible tourism mission is concerned, and it was encouraged by the government of Kerala. In spite of different ministries that came on board, they were all emphasizing giving a lot of importance to responsible tourism. And today, Kerala as a state, in terms of tourism, as a destination, has been recognized as one of the most responsible tourism destinations, not only in India but across the globe. We've actually received a number of recognitions for the same. When you look at rural tourism, of late we have actually had a number of new destinations that has come up. If you look at a destination called Mandroturtha is nothing but a small little island. When you call Mandro is the name of a British, I think it was one of the rulers during the British days, who was actually in charge of a place called Kollam those days, and he was actually looking after this place. He really liked the place called an island now named after him called Mandroturtha. Turtha is nothing but an island. And this particular place has got a lot of homestays. It's very popular. In the last 10 years, it has actually emerged as one of the most popular rural tourism destinations, where each and every house you see in Mandroturtha is nothing but a homestay. And each and every house is something unique to offer in terms of cuisine, in terms of the seafood. They're actually on an island, as I said. It's on the backwaters. Somewhere, it's not very far from Kollam. It's actually Kollam town. From Trivandrum, it is roughly about 100 kilometers, nearly about 100 kilometers drive from Trivandrum city. But this entire village today survives on tourism. They used to depend on tourists from abroad initially, but due to COVID, they've actually slowly switched over to rural tourism promotions for the locals. You know, Indians have started traveling. We have seen people from within Kerala traveling and staying in these destinations. So that is something which is the promotions that happens in a destination called Mandro Island, which is also called Mandroturtha. When you look at the Kerala as a destination, why do people come? I mean, like one of my panelists were talking about wedding tourism or the mice tourism. A lot of tourists from across the globe come to Kerala for mice. Where does mice happen? If you look at Kovalam as a destination, which is one of the world-renowned beach destination, which is one of the oldest destinations of tourism in Kerala, is actually in a very rural place. If you go into Kovalam on the beach, you will see fishermen fishing. You know, that's one place where you can see the traditional way of fishing, where you have the fishermen pulling out the nets early in the morning from the sea. I mean, that is something which is a dying art, which you will probably not see in the next 50 years, because those people who are trained in doing that, youngsters are not going there anymore to do this. These are all people who have been carrying it over from their previous generations. And that is, I think, it's coming to an end because the new generation is not getting into it, and we are coming to the close of it. So when a foreigner, or for that matter, an Indian from sometimes within Kerala, when he goes to see this for the first time, it is a marvel by itself. When you look at traditional Ayurveda and yoga, Kerala is the capital of Ayurveda to the world. If you see, Kerala has actually created such a lot of Ayurveda therapists, the Ayurveda therapists and Ayurveda doctors. If you go across the globe, most of the Ayurveda centers are managed by Ayurveda therapists from Kerala. You know, again, from rural villages, they have actually been trained. How did they come to know about Ayurveda? It's only because most of our resorts and hotels are based out of rural locations. If you look at Kumaragam, for that matter, if you go to Tekkadi, if you go to a small village called Kumuli, which is actually very close to River Periyar, which is a small village. I mean, there is absolutely nothing much. It's very, very rural. That is where people have actually slowly started getting employment. Now, when you look at, as I was mentioning about CGH hotels, they have specialized in recruiting local people, training them. And I mean, here it is very practical. We are actually not asking them to learn about the international wines or international cuisine. We are asking them to understand our culture. We train them in the local traditional food, and that's what we learn. I mean, that's exactly what we have done in Kerala. And today, most of the marketing happens for Kerala through the social digital media platforms, where social media influencers or digital media influencers come all the way to Kerala, understand the culture. They actually telecast or broadcast our culture and tradition to the rest of the world. That is one of the most beautiful ways in which we promote our destination. There is another organization which I definitely want to mention here today, is a company called Blue Yonder. Blue Yonder is an organization headed by the CEO and founder of Blue Yonder called Gopinath Parail. Gopinath is actually focused on presenting Kerala from the rural aspect. He promotes a river Nila, which is also known as Bharatapuzha today. is one of the most beautiful locations. I mean, he tries to revive the ecotourism part of it and promotes the regional cuisine as well as the rural tourism. That's one another way in which we try and present. If you look, I mean, that's why when I'm coming to say the entire Kerala is more of rural tourism than urban tourism. The post-COVID era is going to have a lot of impact on tourism. Yes, of course, but I would say Kerala would probably be one of the most successful in terms of bouncing back initially because of the ways in which we have our landscapes. Like for example, we have a destination called Wayanad, which is on the which is on the northern tip of Kerala, which has already shown signs of improvements. If you see Wayanad as a destination, most of those hotels and resorts which have opened are doing pretty well in the last 2 months from the time they've all opened. And this is primarily because people sitting there down at home waiting for COVID to be over have realized that COVID is not going to be over in the near future, and they're all fed up sitting at home, and they started moving with their families. There are a lot of weddings that have happened in the last 6 to 8 months. They're all coming out for honeymoon and various other travel with families. But this is all happening in rural part of Kerala, because social distancing is natural and they don't have to remind people you have to maintain certain distance for you to come and visit when you're coming to travel to Kerala as a destination. For that matter, if you look at another big interesting hotel brand that has evolved from Orange County to evolve back in this started off in the place called Coorg in Karnataka. They actually believe only in rural tourism. They've not made anything plush. They've made very normal basic accommodation, and they've made rural tourism available. They've actually made people experience what rural tourism is. In fact, we had a very interesting, I mean, he's still part of tourism, but then Dr. Venu is somebody, Dr. Venu IAS is an administrative officer, Government of India, and Dr. Venu has been our director tourism at one tenure. He was also the secretary tourism, and later he became our principal secretary tourism. Now is one of the chief secretaries, additional chief secretaries in the government of Kerala. But his vision as a director from those days, of course, Mr. Amitabh Kant was his greatest mentor, and both of them put together had during their time the term God's own country was framed for Kerala, and we actually really piggybacked on it, and that gave us a lot of mileage. Dr. Venu always used to say, tourism is nothing but an experience. It's just going and staying in a hotel is not enough. That is why if you come to Kerala and experience proper resorts and destinations, you will not even find a television in the room. Most of them, if they really want to, if any of the CGH hotels would not even have a television in the room, they don't want you to sit down all the way coming from various other destinations, sit down and watch a television or a serial or a series, but they want you to experience the actual rural parts of Kerala. So this is Kerala for you, and this is South India for you. And when you look at the success of Kerala as such, it's only purely based on the promotions that we do in terms of our culture, the art, the tradition, the Ayurveda, the yoga, and of course the adventure tourism that we have. This is for you from over to you, Mr. Shah. This is about the tourism in Kerala and the rural tourism in Kerala.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prasad. Right. As I was rightly saying, Kerala, now the South India, the state of Kerala in South is one state which has been doing wonderfully in the field of tourism, and in special, in particular to mention about the rural tourism and ecotourism and responsible tourism. Undoubtedly, both the public and private partnership has worked very well there. You had named some of the bureaucrats and also the other private sector, Mr. Jose Dominic, and of course, Mr. E.M. Najeeb, and Dr. Venu and Mr. Amitabh Kant. Of course, they had been in such a frame, such a place that is beyond imagination. Well said. But all said and done now, as we are in this situation of pandemic, in which we are fighting an enemy who is not visible.
Invisible.
Yes. An enemy which is not visible, and then we do not have any weapons, clear-cut or weapons also to combat with it. But then, and as you rightly said, that this this is going to be there. This particular virus is going to live with us. So we have to find out ways and means. We have already found out the ways and means of the social distancing, wearing mask, and whatever little bit medicines have come up, because we cannot be resting glued to our rooms, to our houses. We have to come out. We have to come out for work. Economy has to go on. The livelihood has to be there. So the rebooting, the revival for thriving and for survival. Revival is very, very important. So we have started reviving. And thank you so much, all the panelists. And we have a few questions. May I request Ms. Ganguly, if there are some questions to be, if you can read the questions and put up to our,
Certainly,
questions.
Mr. Shaw, certainly. We have a couple of questions. The first one coming from Mr. Naveen Gupta. He's talking about the promotion of rural tourism in India. But what are the procedures to find rural tourism? I guess he's talking about how to identify the rural sector, and whether there should be any parametric value to identify any infrastructural development which might be needed. May I put this question to Mr. Sehgal, please? Mr. Rajan Sehgal?
As I mentioned, to promote rural tourism, it's not that we take them to a village which has no connectivity, which has no infrastructure, which has no facilities. God forbid, if there is an emergency, there should be facilities. Like I mentioned about the rural tourism destinations in Switzerland, they are equipped with all the facilities, right from hygiene to medical, to safety wise, to responsibility wise, everything is there. But I'll give you an example. If you are traveling from Delhi to Jaipur, there is a place called Manesar. So before Manesar, there is a road inside which is a 10-kilometer stretch. If you really want to experience the rural tourism, you come there. You have 4 beautiful resorts which I mentioned, right from Karma Lakeland to People Koti to ITC Grand to Tarudhan. It's all beautiful places. The connectivity is very good. They have all the facilities, and this is the true example of rural tourism. If you just come out from your room, you are in the middle of fields. You can enjoy. You can even visit some villagers' house also. They will welcome you with all the things. So the facilities, the infrastructure, the safety, the hygiene is very important. Like Kerala, it's amazing. Like Mr. Prasad said, I was there last year for the ICPB convention. The MICE tourism. We stayed in the beautiful Grand Hyatt, which is on the tip of the island, and it's a beautiful property. You don't stay in a hotel. If you open your window, you're staying in in the middle of a lake. And if you do the backwaters, just come out of Kochi or go to from Kochi to Kottayam or Kottayam to Munnar or to Periyar. It's total full of green, small villages, backwater. And I think it's a very good learning point for me today that backwater is also a rural tourism. So these things we have to promote, especially in the areas of Punjab and Haryana. When you travel, the best food, the best roadside dhabas you will find now, and their facilities, if you can see now, the upgradation of these dhabas is amazing. It's as good as like a 5-star property, but right in the center of a village. So these things are very, very important.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. I guess like one of the panelists, I think Mr. Srivastava was saying the roti kapda makan, if that is taken care of, I think tourism in rural sectors will do wonders if you have those infrastructural needs taken care of. Thank you so much, Mr. Sehgal. Mr. Shaw, I think the next question I would like to give it to you. Mr. Saurav Mitra wants to know what are the measures taken by the Ministry of Tourism to eradicate the hindrances faced by tourists visiting the remote or offbeat regions. This is basically at the micro level. So if you can have any thoughts on that, please.
Well, here I would say that Ministry of Tourism has, along with the other state governments, we have formed the tourist facilitation police. Tourist police is there, which takes care of the safety and safety aspects of the tourist visiting any tourist destination. As a matter of fact, most of the states have already signed this accord, and they are already having the tourist police deployed at all these tourist places. Wherever the footfall is high, you will find the tourist police there to help the tourists if they are in any sort of a problem. This is one of the steps which it has been taken, and of course the awareness, the campaigns, tourism department as well as the state tourism department, the awareness campaigns are also going on. So the efforts are there. And now with the we also have come up with the special number, a toll-free number on which any distressed tourist, any part of India, they can call on that number, and that he will immediately be rendered the assistance. Thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I think the political will is there, and there are some steps taken, positive steps taken to make sure that this sector grows. I'm sure there's a lot more to be done. And we are all here. I'm sure all the panelists, all the esteemed panelists will be putting in their thoughts together to make sure that rural tourism is a thing of the future. So thank you so much. I guess we have another question relating to the rural village promotions in the Sundarbans, which I think Dr. Dilip Kumar Das has very effectively presented in the PowerPoint presentation that he did, how they have identified and going to promote that. We do have another question from Mr. Ajit Prasad. He says that we are talking about rural tourism, but 90% of our rural areas are still undeveloped and lacks proper infrastructure. Apart from government, how can we improve the situation? I guess he's talking about the government being one stakeholder, but us as the tourists being another stakeholder. So what can the tourist or the regular person do to improve the situation and educate the rural people about the tourism? May I request Mr. Manjali to take this question, please?
Sure. In fact, Ajit, your question is very relevant. When you look at rural tourism, of course, infrastructure is very, very important. Without infrastructure, you wouldn't probably be able to reach anywhere. This is something which is very, very important. But having said that, if for me, I happen to travel to a very remote village in Tamil Nadu, somewhere close to Madurai. It's actually a city between, it's a small little village between Madurai and Theni in Tamil Nadu. And I was prepared to explore something new, and I had to take a particular drive from one point to another was on a car, but then from that particular point I had to really walk for a short distance of almost about half a kilometer, and then that itself was an experience because I was actually walking through the paddy fields on either sides, and then after that I was actually asked to get onto a bullock cart, and that was an experience. Now, as a tourist, of course, the infrastructure is definitely important for you to reach a particular destination. But once you reach a destination, infrastructure as far as roads and bridges and other things are probably secondary, because you enjoy each and every little thing that you do. The bullock cart ride, the boat ride, the country boat ride, and various other things. These are all experiences that, for that matter, the experience that I've had at that point is still being carried as a memory for me. Which probably I've done about 25 years ago. Even today, when you mentioned about this is something which came to my mind. But when you say infrastructure in terms of connectivity into that particular destination, yes, it's very important, and it is both for the government and for the private sector to join hands and create that infrastructure. Luckily, by the grace of God, both the government of India and when you talk about Kerala, both of them have joined hands, and there is good development in terms of roads and infrastructures within Kerala, and which is a very good sign. This is what I think, and it is in most states. I've seen it in most states. I don't know about the northern part of India, but at least in the southern states, the infrastructure importance has been given by the government, and I'm sure that is one of the most important parameters that has to be given a lot of importance to reach the destination. But once you reach, then the experience itself is something that you will cherish every moment of that particular trip or the tour that you're going to experience. It's all about experience.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, sir. I think that is the questions that we have had. We have one last question from Mr. Naveen Gupta and goes directly to Mr. Dr. JP Shaw. What are the measures to identify the rural tourism in India? I guess we have just covered that. Is any special segmentation be promoted in this regard for rural tourism? Is there any special segment that needs to be promoted? Mr. Shaw, please.
So, as Dr. Dilip Das had done, there are a lot of villages in each state of India which have been adopted, and the funds are being provided to the state governments, and through the state government, it goes to the concerned district magistrate of that particular district in which that village falls for the development. And that is being done, but as usual, as per his presentation, you had seen that some of the villages are still to be developed. Well, some has, well, in the states of Andhra Pradesh, like Pochampalli, some in Odisha, some in Gujarat, for instance. A lot of villages have already been developed very well, and a sizable number of tourists are visiting those villages. Incidentally, in the eastern part, somehow, for some reason or the other, we have not been able to do so well in Bengal and Bihar in particular in comparison to the other states. But then the matter is being looked into by both central government and the state governments. And in the near future, the things will be better. And these villages which have been earmarked, which have been shortlisted by the government of India and by the state governments, will be developed to cater to the requirements of the tourists. As Mr. Prasad was saying, the infrastructure part, once you are in the village, of course, you cannot expect the urban life there. So, but then the last mile connectivity to the destination is very, very important. The main road, and then from the highway or from the state highway to the village, if there is a last mile connectivity. For that last mile connectivity, also the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India is providing the funds to the state government so that that particular destination or that particular site gets connected to for the benefit of the tourists. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I guess those were the questions. Do we have any questions putting forward to the attendees?
I think
please?
the link, Ms. Ganguly, I think the link for the questions that we had, 5 questions for the participants have been loaded, have been sent on their email, this thing, so they can give reply to that and also the feedback. And then there'll be a link also for the certificates for which
Certainly, so I guess you can see
they'll be
now
able
on
to
the chat.
download their certificates of participation later on through the link. Yes. Anything else? Any
Certainly.
other questions?
Those were the questions, sir.
If there are
I
no
think
questions, then we can come to the end, and Ms. Gauli, you can give the vote of thanks then, and we thank all the
Certainly.
panelists. They have been really very, very nice. Please, if you can give the vote of
Certainly.
thanks.
Thank you for the insightful discussion today. I would like to thank, first of all, Honorable Vice Chancellor MAKAUT, Dr. Professor Saikat Mitra. Thank you, sir, for your insights on the rural tourism and the pivotal role technology is going to play in this current scenario. Dr. Bose, gratitude for your presence and very straightforward views, I must say, on the current situation in tourism sector and the need for the political will and the empathy required at this hour for the tourism sector being one of the highest, topmost producer of the GDP, contributor to the GDP and also to the employment sector. Mr. Srivastava, thank you for your views on promoting rural tourism and the anecdotes regarding Kashmir and the wedding that you just spoke about. That did give us an insight of how a small idea can change the sector altogether. Mr. Rajan Saigal, of course, absolutely, gratitude for your positive views. I think you started off absolutely with the positive views that the situation is not here to last. It will get over soon, and we need to look forward to the future. So thank you very much for the positive take on the current situation and very picturesque, I must say, your take on the rural tourism. We could almost feel that we are in those places. So thank you so much, Mr. Sehgal, for that. Mr. Manjari, thank you. Grateful for your insights on the Kerala tourism and what the homestays model is in the region. Thank you very much. Mr. Das, we thank you for your detailed pointers, I must say, in the rural tourism and the scopes and challenges that are being faced in this sector. We would also like to thank Mr. JP Shaw. Sir, thank you for a very insightful moderation. I think it was just stitching everything together, which just made sure that the transition was very seamless. So thank you for that. Thank you, Team MAKAUT and IIHM for the backhand support. No webinar nowadays is complete without the backhand support, and we are grateful for that. Last but not the least, thank you all the attendees. Thank you for your interaction. Thank you for your presence and your participation in today's seminar. It surely made the seminar more successful. Once again, thank you, panelists. We are very grateful for your presence. Thank you for taking out time on Sunday afternoon and being with us, sharing your insights. And we do hope that you have a fantastic Sunday and enjoy your tourism day to the hilt. Thank you very much, everyone. With that, we take your leave, and hopefully we will meet next time face to face, like Dr. Shaw was saying. Last year we were all together. This year we are virtually at least together. So hopefully next year, this time, we can all celebrate together. So thank you so much, everyone, for your presence. And with that, we take your leave. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. And
It was
I
nice
add a last
moderation.
line to thank
Yes,
Ms.
Mr.
Ganguly
Shaw.
also. Thank you so much, Ms.
Thank
Ganguly,
Thank
for having been with us, for so nicely moderating the event. It has been very, very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Shaw.
all
Thank you.
panelists. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Other panelists?
प्रेम जी वो लिंक दे दिया है ना आपने?
Yes, sir. We have
Yes,
posted in the chat box.
अच्छा.
And if you allow, then we can show it also, sir.
हाँ, you can show it. You can show it for अभी 2-4 मिनट दिखला दीजिए उनको. They can note it down. The participants, the link for the question. दिखला दीजिए chat box में. So this is a link for your quiz and feedback, and also it's on YouTube and e-certificate for all the participants. You can go through this and give your feedback and also give the response to the quiz. Later on, you can download your e-certificate from the link, so you can copy it down. So Prem, you can leave it, and we as panelists, we can discuss now. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
So,
much.
Thank you.
sir,
we can leave.
panel members can log out now, and we will be closing it after sharing these links.
Okay, so we as panelists, we are leaving the meeting then.
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you, Prem. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. A small announcement for the participants. The certificates will be available to download after giving the quiz and feedback. The certificate will be available after 1 hour. So the quiz will be open for 1 hour, and after that the certificate will be generated and will be given in the e-certificate link.